I wanted to talk in this one about used liquid coolers, specifically the AIO, I don't know what else you want to call them, AI, the all-in-one sealed liquid cooler, wherever you want to call them, the ones where they come with the radiator and it's got a fan on it. Maybe it's a single fan, maybe it's two fans, maybe it's three fans, but it's all integrated into one unit. So I don't know. And before I start, I'm going to say this. There is always an exception to everything, okay? I get that someone's going to come on and tell me they had a different experience, but I have worked with thousands of computers, okay? I don't normally even call a computer. It's just a unit, okay? I've worked with thousands of units, okay? I don't even normally call them computers. So I feel that I can speak for trends to some degree. And I have a particular experience with dealing with already used computers too. So, because typically, at least until very recently, I dealt with a lot of recycle type, stuff purchased from recyclers, that kind of thing. So, what I want to talk about here is the overall reliability of all-in-one coolers. Now, I don't know how widespread belief is that old liquid coolers are a leak risk, but it seems like every time the topic of a potentially used liquid cooler comes up, it seems like one or two people always pop up that bring this up. The most recent one in one of my videos, I did a video about my new 120, whatever the heck it was, terabyte server that I built myself. And I used a liquid cooler. And the primary reason I used the liquid cooler was I had it on hand and I didn't feel like doing something else. And so I used it. And I think it was on my Reddit post. I can't remember if it was my video or my Reddit post, but there was a person or two that were like, oh, why would you use a liquid cooler on a server? You know, air cooling is more reliable, blah, blah, blah. So, and that may be true in theory, but this is why I wanted to talk about this. So how long have I been selling computers? Realistically, I've been dealing in reasonably large bulk since 2008. I've been dealing with every year. It was probably 2008 when I really started working with large numbers of machines. Now, today, I'm not doing as much dealing as I am just buying for the purpose of playing with stuff. But in all that time, I think I had one that actually leaked. I don't believe it killed the system, if I remember right. If I remember correctly, it was a very, very, very slow ooze. And I believe it wasn't... I think it was from actual physical damage to the liquid cooler too, right? Like granted, you can't physically damage an air cooler in such a way as to make it leak. Okay, fair enough. But that being said, I don't believe it was a result of it being a old liquid cooler. I believe it was the result of physical damage. Again, if I remember right, it was so long ago, and I only remember ever seeing it one time. I don't typically buy custom loop cooled systems, and the reason for that is usually those people that have them have a lot of money invested in them, and as used systems, they just want more than I'm going to be able to unload the system for as a used system, because most people looking for used systems aren't looking to pay several $100s in value for liquid cooling parts. It's just because they're not looking for, that's not why somebody's looking for a used computer. I'm not saying there's no one out there that'll pay for that, but I don't like closing up my potential buying target. I don't like having a really tight target for buying people. I prefer my system to appeal to the largest number of people possible, and doing an open loop cooling system just isn't going to accomplish that. I'm sure there are those of you out there who deal in that and you have great luck with it. It's just not what I deal with. But I believe I saw one or two of those leak. I think in theory, if done wrong, it's probably easier to have a open loop system leak than a closed loop. But I'm sure someone will tell me I'm wrong on that too. But in any case, so and I've seen really old ones. I've seen ones that are, I mean, I've seen ones within the last couple of years that were on, say, like first generation stuff, like stuff that would have been like first generation Acetec stuff. I don't know when they started selling them originally, but I've seen ones that would have been like Core 2 Duo. Even, I think I may have even seen one that was like a Pentium 4 closed looped cooler. I think it was a Cooler Master. And so here's the other thing I will say, because I believe there are people that are also going to say, well, okay, so it doesn't leak, but it doesn't work well. It doesn't cool well anymore. Now, my experience has been that that is generally not the case. In my experience, I have seen a lot of old liquid coolers that worked just fine, that still cooled just fine. I've seen ones that don't, but I've also seen new ones that don't. I've seen newer ones, not brand new, but reasonably newer, like, you know, used units that are a couple years old that that didn't cool properly, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I don't know if it was some sort of interior, you know, I've seen it a few times where they just don't cool anymore. And I don't know if it's interior damage. I don't know if it's I don't know, improper mounting. I doubt it's that though, because I'll check them. I mean, if they're making enough contact where I can feel it lay when it makes contact, and then if I pull it up, it's got a fairly uniform thermal compound pattern on it. I can be reasonably certain that it made at least good enough contact that it should be functional. So if I get a unit that just is generally not functional, I generally assume, and I've tested it and I've looked at it, and you're getting proper contact, it's properly installed, I can verify it's making contact with the CPU. I typically assume there's some sort of defect with it. But in any case, so I just, the stuff that I hear every now and then, the particular one I wanted to dispel is the age being tied to a greater potential for leaks. I mean, I guess you can claim anything is more likely to fail at a higher age, but it's just not something I'm seeing. And the one time I did see it, again, I believe it was physical, like as in user damage, and it didn't destroy the system. It was just like a slow seep, like if you had a slow seep with your, like an oil seal in your car, something like that. And just every so often you see a tiny little drop seep out, like that kind of thing. So anyway, and again, I don't want to tell you that this can't happen, and I'm not saying don't look for it on an older system. By all means, do your due diligence. But I am saying don't be terrified of, say, like, I don't know, an i7 4790K with like an old Corsair H100 or something on it. I don't see enough issues to be worried about it. Anyway, that's my opinion on the matter, and thanks for watching the video.